They called her Virelai, the Ice Maiden from the star cluster of Drethvor. Her arrival shattered Earth's skies with streaks of blue fire and a wind so cold it cracked steel. Wherever she walked, frost bloomed like veins of winter, and her breath left glassy trails in the air. Cities hushed her name in fear and awe. Virelai, the alien whose kiss could freeze oceans. No one knew why she came. She didn't speak. She didn't explain. She stood above frozen diplomats and scorched battlefields alike, untouched by bullets, unmoved by pleas. Entire military squadrons turned to brittle statues when they got too close. She was a living blizzard wrapped in beauty too perfect to be real. But on the edge of it all, far from the noise, was a man named Ren Halvor. Not a soldier or a scientist. Just a repairman. He lived in the quiet stretches of the Egon district, where broken roads met forgotten forests. His life was simple. Fix what was cracked, drink something warm, read in peace. He didn't expect to meet a legend from the stars. He didn't even believe in most of the news. Until the storm came. It wasn't like any storm he'd seen before. No thunder, no rain, just white. An endless curtain of snow that swallowed sound. Ren tried to make it home on his skimmer bike, but the wind blinded him, sharp as knives. The bike slipped on ice, flipped, and sent him crashing hard into the snow. Pain hit. Then darkness. He would have died out there. But he didn't. When Ren opened his eyes, he was in his cabin, warm and safe. A fire crackled beside him and steam drifted from a metal cup on the table. At first, he thought he'd been rescued by a neighbor, or maybe a patrol drone. But then he saw her. She was sitting across the room, barefoot, with hair like silver mist and skin that shimmered with a faint blue light. Her eyes were strange, violet and glowing, like they held 1,000 storms behind them. "You are warm," she said. Her voice was smooth, almost delicate. She spoke slowly, as if tasting every word for the first time. Ren blinked. "What? You would have expired," I intervened. He sat up, his body aching. "You saved me? I preserved you," she said simply. "It is not the same." He stared at her. "You're her, aren't you?" "The Ice Maiden?" She tilted her head. "That is what your kind call me." There was a long silence. Ren tried to process what was happening. She didn't move. She sat like ice sculpture come to life, graceful and unreal. "You didn't have to help me," he said softly. "No," she agreed. "But I wanted to." He blinked again, surprised by the honesty in her tone. "Why?" "I do not know," she replied. "I've observed your kind. Fire, movement, emotion. You shine, but burn too fast. Still, something in me wanted to see more." He looked around. "You brought me back here?" "Yes. Your structure was cold. I made it less so." He looked down at his hands, then at her. "You didn't freeze me." "No," she said, her eyes narrowing slightly. "You are different. Your warmth does not resist. It wraps." Ren didn't quite understand, but her words held weight. Then he noticed her hands hovering above the cup of tea, never touching. "Can you hold it?" She shook her head. "It will freeze before it reaches my lips." "So you can't enjoy something warm?" he asked, a little sad. "I've never had to," she replied. "Pleasure was not part of my design." Ren leaned forward slightly, trying to read her face. "Design?" Her eyes dropped to the fire. "I was born to be a deterrent, a living threat. I was told love was weakness, touch was danger, warmth was death." Ren's heart clenched a little. That's a lonely way to live. She didn't answer, but he saw her fingers twitch. After a long moment, she said almost in a whisper, "You are the first to survive being this close to me." Ren gave a small smile. "Guess that makes me special." She looked at him, really looked. "Perhaps." And, for the first time, the frost on the cabin window began to melt. The next morning, Ren woke to find frost lacing the ceiling beams, but he wasn't cold. The fire had died down, yet warmth lingered in the air like something left behind by a dream. He sat up slowly and found Virelai still there, seated on Sia, the floor with her legs folded beneath her, motionless as carved ice. Only her eyes moved, watching the embers with silent curiosity. "You didn't sleep?" Ren asked. She turned toward him. "Sleep is unnecessary for me. I watch. I think." He rubbed his arms. "Do you ever rest? Let yourself go, even for a little?" Her gaze lingered on him for a moment. "Letting go is dangerous, for others. I cannot lose control." Ren chuckled gently. "You sound like someone who's never had a nap. Or a hug." Her expression flickered, just slightly, but enough for him to notice. Like the word hug had landed somewhere deep inside her. "I have never been held," she admitted. "Not without consequence." Ren stood up and walked to the small kitchen, his bare feet tapping on the wooden floor. He poured water into a pot, hands moving out of habit. "Well, how about breakfast first? Then we can work our way up to hugs." Virelli stood, her presence soft, yet impossibly powerful. "You are strange, human," he smirked. "Ren," she blinked. "Ren. It's my name," he said, stirring the water. "Not just human. Ren," she repeated, as if testing it on her tongue. The way she said it made it sound sacred. "And you're Virelai, right? I was given that designation upon my birth. It means cold blossom in my native tongue. That's kind of beautiful." She turned her face away, and for the first time, he saw the hint of a flush beneath the icy glow of her cheeks. Ren brought over 2 cups of tea, one for him, one for her, though he wasn't sure. She could drink it. She didn't touch hers, but watched the steam with quiet longing. "You want to try?" he asked. She looked down. "It will turn solid in my grasp." "Then don't hold it," he said. "Let me do it." Her eyes widened. "You wish to give it to me?" He nodded. "If you trust me." There was hesitation in her face. Real, trembling hesitation. But finally, slowly, she knelt in front of him. He lifted the cup and gently brought it close to her lips, careful not to let it touch her skin. "Breathe in," he whispered. She leaned forward, eyes closing, and let the warmth of the steam brush against her mouth. The scent of tea drifted through the air. Her expression changed, just slightly, but enough. Something like wonder flickered there. "This sensation," she murmured, voice hushed. "It is soft." He smiled. "That's the good stuff." For a moment, she simply stayed like that, breathing in the heat from his hands. Her own fingers hovered close to his, but didn't make contact. Still, he felt it, the chill in her aura, like standing beside a glacier, but with the tension of someone trying not to hurt anything near her. "You've been alone a long time," Ren said gently. "Yes." "Don't you get tired of holding back?" "Yes," she whispered. "Then maybe you don't have to anymore." She opened her eyes slowly. "You speak as though it is a choice. It is not." Ren lowered the cup. "What if I helped you?" "You said I'm different. Maybe we can figure it out. Together." Her lips parted. "You would risk yourself for that." "I already did," he said with a small laugh. "Remember, in the snow." She studied him. "You are foolish." "I've been called worse." Virelai exhaled slowly, and when her breath met the air, it didn't freeze the floor this time. Just a faint mist, like morning fog. "I do not understand you, Ren." He leaned a bit closer. "That's okay. You've got time." She stared at him in silence, and then, with trembling motion, raised her hand. May I touch you? Ren's heart skipped. Only if you want to. Her fingers neared his cheek, but paused just an inch away. He felt the cold radiating from her, but he didn't move. Slowly, carefully, her fingertip brushed his skin. A pulse of cold shot through him, but it wasn't painful. It was like snow against warm skin, a kiss from winter. And then it faded. Her hand lingered. The frost didn't spread. His face didn't freeze. Her violet eyes widened in awe. I didn't harm you. Ren smiled. You didn't. I felt something like melting. He reached up and gently touched her hand in return. That's what it feels like to be close to someone. Her lips trembled. Ren, what are you doing to me? He brushed his thumb across her fingers. Nothing you don't want. Her eyes glowed with something new, something fragile, like the start of spring cracking through endless snow. And just like that, for the first time in her life, the Ice Maiden felt her frost begin to break. The days that followed were unlike anything Virelai had known. Ren didn't ask her to leave. He didn't lock her away or study her like others had tried. He offered her warmth, simple, ordinary warmth. A blanket. A chair pulled close to the fire. A mug of tea held in his hands while she leaned close, breathing in the steam with half-lidded eyes and a secret smile. Each morning, she watched the sunlight crawl across the wooden floor like it was a miracle. Each evening, she asked questions about things humans never thought to explain. Why do you laugh? She asked one night, her voice soft under the weight of candlelight. Ren chuckled. Because it feels good, like joy escaping your chest. She frowned thoughtfully. I don't know if I've ever felt that. He tapped her shoulder gently with the back of his hand. We'll fix that. She tilted her head. You wish to repair me? No, he said. I just want you to feel whole. That made her quiet again. But her hand, the one wrapped loosely in the fabric of her cloak, inched closer to his. Just close enough that their knuckles touched. Her control was growing. Or maybe her walls were lowering. Either way, Ren noticed. Her breath no longer froze the windows. Her footsteps left dew instead of frost. One morning, he caught her standing barefoot outside the cabin, eyes lifted to the pale sky. She wore his old sweater, the sleeves too long, the hem brushing her thighs. The cold didn't bother her, but the softness of the cloth seemed to. She tugged at it like it confused her, yet she didn't take it off. Ren stepped beside her. You okay? She nodded, not looking at him. The air smells different today, like renewal. He took a breath. It's spring, almost. She turned, eyes searching his face. Is that when things begin again? Yeah, he said gently. After the cold, life comes back. Flowers bloom, animals wake up, people feel hope again. Virelli was quiet. Then, in a whisper, Do I feel like winter to you? Ren thought for a moment, then shook his head. You did. But now, you feel like the first thaw. That moment where you think maybe everything might live again. She blinked slowly, and her lips parted like she wanted to speak, but didn't know how. Instead, she reached up, took his hand, and placed it over her heart. He stiffened slightly. Her chest was cool beneath the sweater, but he felt something else, a soft, steady rhythm. Her pulse. You are the only one, she said, who has ever heard this. Ren's throat tightened. Your heartbeat? She nodded. No one else got close enough. They feared me, or froze, or died. He curled his fingers slightly over. Her chest, careful, reverent. I'm not afraid of you, Virelai. Her voice trembled. But I am. Of me? No, she said, her hand coming up to cover his. Of what I'm becoming, of what you're doing to me. He held her gaze. You don't have to change unless you want to. But I do want to, she whispered. I want this. Warmth. I want to understand what stirs in me when I look at you. My body was built to destroy. But near you, I ache, I tremble, I melt. Ren swallowed. Maybe that's love. The word made her shiver, not from cold, but from something deeper. Say it again, she asked. He stepped closer, leaned in until their foreheads touched, and whispered, love. Her breath caught. Ren, if I kissed you, the old me might return. I don't want to hurt you. He touched her cheek. Then let the new you do it. Her lips trembled. She leaned in. Their mouths met, hesitant, soft, like two seasons, colliding. Cold met heat. Frost kissed fire, and for a heartbeat, the world held its breath. No ice spread, no wind howled. Instead, the snow around them melted in a slow ring, grass peeking through beneath their feet. When they parted, she was breathless. Her fingers gripped his shoulders like she'd just stepped off a cliff and landed safe. I didn't freeze you, she gasped. You didn't, Ren said, smiling. You kissed me like a woman, not a weapon. And as the sun broke through, the clouds above them, Virelai smiled for the very first time, not because someone told her to, not because it was safe, but because her heart, finally, knew how. The next week was a blur of discovery for Virelli. She no longer hovered in corners or spoke like a stranger to the world. She began to live. She tasted food slowly, carefully, as if each flavor might vanish. She curled up near the fire and told Ren fragments of her past, not as a weapon forged for war, but as a woman who had once looked at the stars and wondered if anyone out there knew what she felt. They walked together through the nearby woods. She wore his scarf, not because she needed it, but because it smelled like him. Ren noticed the way her fingers sometimes brushed his when she thought he wouldn't notice, and how she lingered close enough for warmth, even though she carried cold in her veins. She had changed, but not everyone saw it that way. It was late afternoon when Ren's old comm unit sparked to life, a signal he hadn't heard in years. This is Base 9. Respond. Ren asked her, are you there? Virelai tensed, her eyes narrowing. Who are they? Ren exhaled slowly, turning down the volume. They're part of Earth's defense unit. I used to send them field reports from up here before I quit. Haven't contacted them in years. They must have tracked something. Her shoulders stiffened. Me. They'll want to investigate, Ren said. They'll ask questions. They'll see me as a threat. Ren stepped closer. You're not. Not anymore. But they don't know that, she whispered, voice trembling. If they come, they'll try to take me, contain me. He touched her cheek gently. Then we don't let them. But it was already too late. By nightfall, the whine of distant drones echoed through the trees. Red lights blinked in the dark, scanning. Virelai stood at the window, her glow dimmed to near invisible. Fear, raw and unfamiliar, shivered in her eyes. They're close, she said, backing away from the glass. I can feel the hum of their tech. They're armed. Ren cursed under his breath and started gathering what little gear he had. We can run. There's a tunnel under. The old shed. It leads out toward the mountain ridge. But Virelai didn't move. I don't want to run anymore, she said. He turned. You have to. If they see you, then they'll see who I've become. Her voice was quiet but fierce. I won't hide from the world that taught me fear. I want to face it. With you. His chest ached. You might not survive it. I almost didn't survive being alone, she whispered. He froze. Then, slowly, he reached for her hand. We faced them together then. They stepped out into the snow. The drones spotted them immediately. Red beams flickered, surrounding them in a cage of light. A voice boomed from above. Unidentified alien entity, stand down. Human citizen, step away from the target. Ren didn't move. "She's not a target," he shouted. "She's a person." A whirring noise signaled incoming soldiers. Virelli stepped forward, her aura flickering like a dying star. "Let me speak," she murmured. He grabbed her arm. "They'll shoot." She smiled at him softly, then stepped out of the light's circle. The cold in her surged, but didn't explode outward. Instead, a thin ring of frost spread gently under her feet like an ice blossom. "I am Virelli," she said, her voice steady. "Once I was made for destruction. Now I choose peace." The soldiers held their weapons steady, confused. "I have harmed no one," she continued, "and I will not run. But if you try to take me, you will learn the hard way what fear truly feels like." Her aura pulsed, but then softened. She stepped back beside Ren, taking his hand. "I belong with him," she said. "I found my warmth here. You cannot take that from me." Silence. Then a shout from one of the lieutenants. "Hold fire!" The lead drone hovered lower. A woman's voice spoke, calmer now. "We've been tracking anomalous energy signatures. For weeks, we assumed a weapon. We weren't expecting this." "She's not what she used to be," Ren said. "She changed. She's still changing." "And she kissed me," he added with a grin, "without freezing me solid." The silence stretched. Then, from the drone's speaker, came a slow, quiet laugh. "That may be a first." The drone lights flickered, then powered down. "We'll report this as a non-hostile anomaly," the voice said. "But Ren, don't disappear again. We'll be watching." The drones lifted into the sky and vanished. Virelli collapsed into Ren's chest, her body shaking. "You did it," he whispered, wrapping his arms around her. "No," she murmured, burying her face in his warmth. "We did it." And above them, the stars blinked brighter, as if the whole universe had exhaled. Spring came at last. The last of the snow melted into streams that trickled down the mountain, and with it, the memory of that long frozen winter slowly thawed from Virelli's bones. The cabin, once cold and quiet, now pulsed with laughter, warmth, and something deeper. Something neither of them dared to name aloud, yet both of them carried in every glance and touch. Virelli spent more time outside now. Her control had grown so precise she could walk barefoot across the grass without leaving a single trace of frost. Flowers bloomed near her steps, drawn by the strange balance of her ancient cold and the human warmth she had come to love. She was no longer afraid to feel. And Ren. He had become her anchor. One morning, he found her kneeling in the garden. They'd started together. She was planting tiny blue seeds she'd begged from a passing trader weeks ago. He leaned against the doorway, watching her silently. "You're staring again," she said without looking up. Ren smiled. "You're beautiful when you're focused." She turned to him, brushing a strand of silver hair behind her ear. "You always say things that make my heart feel like it's floating." He walked over and crouched beside her. "That's called being in love." She hesitated. "Ren, I don't understand love like humans do. I feel it, but I can't explain it. Sometimes it burns, sometimes it hurts. Sometimes I want to hold you so close. I forget where I end and you begin." He reached out and touched her cheek. "Then you already understand it better than most people." Her eyes shimmered with something soft, vulnerable. She leaned into his touch, and their foreheads met. "Do you think," she whispered, "that someone like me could ever become someone's mate?" He chuckled gently. "You already are." Her breath caught. "I am?" "You're mine," he said simply. "If you want to be." She blinked. Then, without a word, she took his hand and placed it over her heart, just like she'd done that first time. But this time, the rhythm was strong, confident, steady. "I want that," she whispered. "Not because I was made to want it, but because I choose it. I choose you." Ren leaned in and kissed her softly. No frost bloomed, no wind stirred. Just warmth, and the taste of a future growing between them, like the tiny blue flowers at their feet. That night, they curled up together by the fire, her head on his chest, his arm around her shoulders. She traced slow, thoughtful circles on his skin. "Ren," she murmured, "if my kiss once froze worlds, what does your touch do to me?" He smiled into her hair. "It melts the walls around your heart." She tilted her head up to him, her expression a mix of wonder and something far deeper. "Then don't ever stop touching me." "I won't," he promised, pulling her close. "Not for all the stars in the sky." And somewhere in the quiet hush of that mountain night, beneath a sky filled with endless galaxies, Virelai, once a creature born of cold and solitude, melted completely in the arms of the only being who had ever dared to hold her, not as a weapon, not as a threat, but as a woman, as his, forever.